Hey everybody, Z. I'm shooting this video as more of a follow-up of the previous video. When I got done, I realized there were so many things I didn't cover that I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to make a couple corrections that I said too. One of the doctors that I refer to a lot, his name is John K. Euler, and boy, I hope he doesn't ever see the first one I mispronounced his name. And why Euler is so important is he represents what is a psychopath in his study of it. Why Marzinski is so, why Marzinski is so important is his discipline, his field is schizophrenics. And that's going to lead into this video, what I call Bad Daddy, the father of all psychopaths and schizophrenics. And why, and I don't know if I'm going to tie in dissociated identity. It's not a disorder. I might do that separate. Let me just see how this flows. But the premise of this one here and the thing to really get down, because I'm gonna, 2 more videos, I have something to nail out on this whole thing. But when you come to realize that all the problems in this world, as we talked about, is disassociation from our divine feminine, and who is the asshole who does that and has caused that. And that's why I call this video Bad Daddy. And let me just say this. When I say bad daddy, I don't mean the father who raised you, that for both of us, men and women. It is the father of the human host body, this thing that we are, and his creation and how this thing took place. He is the entity, he is the bad daddy of this whole thing. And how we have him in all of us, and this is the thing that we've got to work out and get out of us. So Bad Daddy, and if it goes back to the archetypal representation in the Star Wars movie with the young Luke Skywalker realizes that the enemy that he is fighting is his father, and how he has to deal with that and process that. And I don't watch those movies. I only saw the first one, but there was a scene in there where he cuts the head off of the Darth Vader character, and he goes to take the mask off to see what his father looks like, and it's him. He's looking at himself. Like I said, I can't stand science fiction movies, but that scene right there, along with that Conan scene, I think were the 2 most important, iconic scenes ever shot, because the one is showing them killing off our divine feminine mother, and the other one is him realizing that the evil in this world is himself because his father is in him. So we gotta kind of go back and tell how this thing, how do we got to where we are. Again, it's not just in men, it's in men and women, because we all have this daddy thing in us. And I praise women in all my videos. This one I'm gonna have a little fun with the ladies in this one. So hold on, because it isn't all us that are dealing with that. I've met women, I've seen women do meaner shit than a man could ever freaking dream of. Because we're stupid, you know that. So we can't plot shit out. Women plot this shit out. They've had that stuff that they do to us, man, they've been thinking about this shit for a long time. And so that's why a lot of times men, you don't see it coming. It's just, boom, by the time you realize it, shit's too late, you know. Because they can do some, they can do some wicked shit. But anyway, so where's that coming from? It's the psychopathy and being schizophrenic. It goes back to being all the source of all of this shit is Bad Daddy, and Bad Daddy separated us from our divine feminine mother. We've talked about it in the videos during custody battles, how the father uses the children to punish her, and this all plays out in our lives. I do want to interject something here. We look back at our history and we use that book called the Bible shit, whatever that collection of crap is that's been plagiarized, and we're going to do a whole breakdown on it. I did a video from BitChute called Church Mafia, and I said all mafias had 2 sets of books. So they have like if you're a business owner, you'll have a set of books, right? And that set of books is the public set of books that you'll show the IRS and so forth. But you don't put a lot of the cash sales in there and stuff, and you load it with all of your expenses that you can think of to reduce your tax liability. But I was a business valuator, so I know how this shit works. And then you have your set of books where you can call your cash sales that you shove in your pocket as deferred income, And we have all kind of titles for that stuff, discretionary expenses, but you keep a separate set of books so that you know what your business is worth. But there's a public set. That thing they give you called the Bible is that set of books. It's not the real set of books. It's the one they want the public to see. Hang on here for a moment. This right here, if this is the Marvin Myers edition, it's the Naj Hammadi Scriptures. $20. Get it on Amazon and keep it. It's in there. Here's your original story right here. And if you want to cheat, go to Altruism Ministries, and just pull up their creation story. And if you haven't gone to John Lamb Lash yet in his book, Not in His Image, you know nothing. Until you read the book, Not in His Image, you don't know anything. I just read it this past year for the first time, or 2 years ago. And you can listen to it on YouTube on this platform. There's a narration, it's like 3 hours, and the woman who does it's got an amazing accent, and she's going to tell you the true or the original creation story. And when you understand that, everything makes sense. Okay, so let's get down to a couple things here. We are all dealing with something called disassociation of who we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know where we are, when, where, why. No one knows. It's a big mystery. So it's no wonder why we all suffer from anxiety and all of the problems that we have. And it's hereditary too, because it's coming down our bloodlines. We're going to go talk about who the archons are, how they were created here. But the premise of all of it, that you come down to this, and this really hit me today really hard. And I've done videos on this over on BitChute, because I cuss like a sailor in a couple of them because I have to. The problem with this world is bad daddy. And like I said, I'm not talking about your father, but it's in him and it's in all of us. So let's take a look into it. So in the original, and I'm going to try to I'm covering a lot of things. I do have a few notes. I want to talk about bad boys and bad girls. And we're going to talk about something else too here, that making love and sex are two different things. I think this thing that we call making love is nothing more than sex has just become rape and masturbation using someone else's body. Lolita Caroli had a video the other day on her channel, and it was like, and we're all on the same page with this. It's like, wow, what we've turned into. Okay, so let's go back briefly to the creation story, the true one there. We had the monad, which is the source of all, and Barbello being his first emanation, our divine feminine mother. And then she has children. One of those children is Sophia, known as wisdom. And she's like that girl that I talk about in the previous video, that little firecracker, that little girl that's full of life. She wants to go out and conquer. And she has her male consort counterpart, and his name is Aphelite. And those are kind of basically, you could say, our parents, kind of grandparents kind of a thing. Aphelite is the grandfather, and Sophia is, you could say in that state, is our grandmother. And she decides that she's independent more than she should be, and she screws up. Because we all make mistakes, because you only learn from making mistakes. And gnosis, one of the definitions of gnosis is learning through experience. You cannot learn unless you experience something. I can tell you what skydiving from high altitude is like. You can't even fathom it until you do it. A woman can tell you what it's like to give birth to a child, but until you do it, you have no conception of what it is. You have to experience these things. There's no other teacher. David Goggins, I know most everybody watches David out there, and you know the stuff, this is considered the world's toughest man. The stuff that he's accomplished is unbelievable. He says there's theorists and there's practitioners. You can theorize all day long, you don't know shit, but till you become a practitioner, you have to experience these things. Okay, so Sophia decides she's going to make a creation on her own without Aphelite. I don't understand this, but so she gives kind of birth, she's birthing things, and she gives birth to an entity that we call Yaldabaoth, or the demiurge, and he's used by two Greek names also, which is Samael and Sakaloth, which means the blind fool. And she gives birth to this child. And when she does, it doesn't come out like it's supposed to. It's being described in the Nag Hammadi creation story as like an aborted fetus. It's not fully developed. It's a fuck up. And she's embarrassed and she's ashamed of it. So she hides it puts it on a throne and puts it on a luminous cloud. A luminous, that's so key in there. She doesn't hide it in a dark cloud. She puts it in a luminous cloud. Well, the other creation, they find out about it. And this Yaldabaoth dude character, he's a little asshole. He thinks he's the shit. He's the knowing all of everything. He makes this statement about himself. I am God. There is nobody above me. I am the one and only. And that's when the mother looks down and says, hey, little bastard, look up here. You are not the God of all. There's a whole creation above you. And that goes into something else. The carbon copy video. I don't know if I'm going to include that in here as well, because when he creates his own realm, he copies the one from above. It's a carbon copy. And I got to get it. Maybe I'll cover it in this. If I don't, we'll do it in another video. But anyway, so he creates this realm. He copies the one above. You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it now. So much to cover here. I'm going to try to keep going. We're 11 minutes. Okay. I'm going to give away my age here. I know I got gray in my beard, so I'm not 30. I know you think I am, but I'm a little older. When we were growing up, I was in junior high school. We took typing classes. And this is before word processors. Because you don't know it now, most of the young people watching, but there was this stage we went through from the old metal typewriter, god-awful creation of a machine, to a word processor, which you could actually back words out and stuff, and then to computers that we have now and so forth. Now we just think it and say it and it prints it and shit, and auto-corrects and spells and does all this stuff for us. But back then, you had this machine, you had to punch these keys in, and you had to punch them with just the right pressure so it struck the paper just enough so it made a nice little imprint. If you hit it too hard, it blocked the ink. If it was too light when you did the keystroke, it was too faint, and you couldn't misspell. I mean, if you misspelled, you had to back up, erase this eraser shit, all this crap. So you kept it like a little dictionary by your typewriter, and as you were typing, if you didn't make sure you knew the correct spelling, you would look it up first. And you had a teacher and she would review your paper when you were done and all that. It fucking sucked. And you couldn't make copies because there were no copiers back then. So what we would do is take this thing called carbon paper. It was a sheet of black paper, and you put it behind the main piece of paper. Then you put a paper behind it and make sure it was just lined up, just perfect. You put it in and you had to roll both sides at the same time as the paper came up, and had to have your margin set. Oh, fuck, it was fucking work, okay? And you had to get everything set and so forth. And as you would strike your key on your typewriter, if you hit it just right, it hit that paper. So there's an ink ribbon. It's ink, it's liquid, real important, liquid. That liquid ink would hit that paper, boom. But the pressure of that keystroke would hit that carbon, and it would make a copy of it on the page behind it. And you could always tell which was the original and which was the copy, because the original was usually blue ink or was inky, and the carbon was always black. And when you get down your paper, you'd separate the two, and you had your original and you had your copy. That's where we live. We live in a carbon copy of the original creation. And this is the creation that Dickhead has made here. And this is what we're trapped in. So he's up there and he sees man and so forth, and there's this earth creation. He wants to make a copy of us. So basically grabs mud, and he gets his Archon buddies together, and each one gets a body part, and they design us and so forth. And then they take us and they're able to transmute us and stick us into this carbon copy fucking thing down here. But before we're transmuted in here, we're basically just a soulless being. And as it says in the creation story, we're like this first one we call Adam that they create, this mud man. He can't do much anything. He's basically crawling in the mud. It's sad, it's horrible. And in the story, Sophia looks down and she sees this horrible thing taking place here. Because remember, as evil as Yaldabaoth is, that's still her creation. And she's responsible for this. So she looks down and she feels sorry for Adam. Sorry, that's Canadian accent, you like that? Sorry. She feels sorry for Adam. And she wants to teach asshole a lesson, okay? So Sophia takes a little tiny little drop of her essence and drops it down into that creation. And she does this to teach asshole a lesson. And when she does, he becomes powerful. In fact, he can rise himself up above his daddy up here. And then she comes down with him, and she comes down, and this is where we get Zoe from, her character Zoe. This is her counterpart, that we call Eve. And Eve is there with him now. And she is the one who empowers Adam, okay? And Adam's got his helper now. When he wakes up, he's like, fuck, you're fucking smoking hot. I'm in love with you, baby. Anyway, so they become, they're consorts together. And douchebags up there, he looks down, he's been watching Adam crawl in the mud for like 30 days or something. And he's like, oh, he's a worthless fucking kid. Isn't that what all daddies say, my daddy? When fathers are weird, when their sons do great things, they want to take credit for it. That's my son threw the touchdown pass, or he ran this and hit the home run, and that's my son, and blah, blah, blah. When the son does good, but when the son does bad, daddies say shit like this, just like his fucking mother, stupid as shit, can't do anything. And the daddy becomes embarrassed of his kid, but not the mama. The mama, I have a hard time with this. Mamas are always there for their boys. Sorry, hang on. Why is it all of us? When you get in real trouble, who do you call? When you're hurt. When you're riding that bicycle and you fall off it and you skin your knees. Sorry. Heavy. Well, you really think about it, isn't it? Bad daddy fuckers. Anyway, lost my train of thought. So the daddy's always embarrassed of the boy when he does wrong. Anyway, so she looks down, and so Adam is created, and she makes Adam to outpower Yaldabaoth to teach him a lesson. And Yaldabaoth is fucking pissed, throws her ass out of the garden, all this shit. And then one of the Archons come in and end up knocking up Eve, and they have 2 kids, and that whole story. But if we stop it right there for a minute, something takes place here. And one of the children is, the Archons have a child, or they have one of their creation. And one of his own is a entity called Sabaoth. And Sabaoth looks up one day and realizes that his father is a worthless fuck off. And he's embarrassed of his dad, ashamed of his divine feminine counterpart. I think that would have been, what is her name? I forget. Anyway. And so Barbello, the mother of all living, looks down and says, oh. So she takes Sabaoth and raises him up above Yaldabaoth. So the premise of what I'm trying to say is here this. When you get to the point and you realize that the real problem in this world is bad daddy, and when you stop worshiping all these male deities, be it Zeus or Odin or whoever it is, or this Jesus, Yahweh, Jehovah characters, when you finally realize that the real problem in this world is this asshole, then you get elevated above it. Until you get to the realization and know that the problem in this world is you have a bad daddy, you'll never have the power, you'll never have anything. Mom's not going to give you one drop of more of her essence, because if she does, and she comes down here and she continues to rescue your ass and continue to do this, you're going to just give all the praise to Jehovah, Yahweh, whatever his fucking name is, and she's actually doing you more harm than good. So she unfortunately has to let you fucking suffer until it's so goddamn horrible that you finally realize, hey, wait a minute, God's a piece of shit. This fucker's an asshole. He's doing this to us. He's our bad daddy. And you denounce, renounce, and do this. And when you do that, you make that recognition, you know where it's coming from, and then you cry out for help. That's when mom comes. And when she determines that you got your shit straight, okay, and you've given up all this crap, which we're going to go into in a minute, she'll start releasing first her knowledge and her wisdom to you. And if you're receiving of it, and you accept it, and she gives you a little test here to see, okay, I'm going to give him a little bit of this. Let's see what he does with it. If you recognize her, renounce his ass, she'll raise you up. But until you do that, you're going to fucking suffer until you can just suffer all your way through this life. That is where you have to get to. Okay, we recognize that. Okay, so this is why we don't have the power. Because if we had the power and we're still serving a patriarchal, these entities, these archons, then she's gonna give her power to us and we're gonna attack her with it. Because that's what's been going on the whole fucking time. So you're gonna have to suffer, hurt, and go through this shit. And that's the other reason I make these videos. I found myself in a position in my life where I had to go through god-awful fucking suffering and through all this because you know my situation. I have a wife, a consort, that's being literally imprisoned and I can't get her out. And I have to go up against, there's no way I can overcome this. But power is there. I have to go through this shit. So maybe you can learn. Hopefully you don't have to go through a fraction of what I've had to go through. Maybe my experience, and you know what I'm getting at here. Okay, going back to that. You've got to understand that the evil in this world is from him. We're like a hybrid being, and that's the evil. So inside of all of us is him, and so we got our divine feminine in us, which is love and compassion, care, and we got asshole in us. And when you can get to the point where you understand and realize that, and you've got these traits in you that you have to overcome, because that's the real battle, is just you overcoming yourself. And when you're able to do that and recognize that, then you raise yourself above. And ladies out there, and for men, I know I feel like I'm picking on the men the whole time, but women out there too, you're just as fucking guilty as we are, okay? I like telling stories. Okay, here's an example. Ladies, they'll tell you, I just want a good Christian boy. I want a good Christian man. That's what I want. And mama will say that to her daughter. You need you a good Christian boy. That's the last fucking thing she wants, okay? She doesn't want the good Christian boy. He's in school. He's in the band. He's a complete fucking pussy and a nerd. And he wears little Docker pants and his polo shirt twisted up or whatever it is. And he's a complete pussy. And she has absolutely no desire for the good boy. What she likes is the bad boy who rides the Hayabusa 1300 to school with a half pipe on it and a 300 rear tire, and he doesn't wear a helmet, and he's tattooed down and shit, and he's got some smokes in his mouth, and he lights up that tire and rides a wheelie out of the parking lot every day. And he shows up to school late. He fails half his classes because he's been surfing all day long, and he's wearing his baggies and his, and he's got his 6-pack of abs and his hair's fucking long and shit. He's got a little beard going on here, and that to him, she's like, he's fucking the shit, okay? That's who she likes. He's in trouble. Cops got him pulled over half the time. Just got out of juvie, whatever it is. Oh, poof. Yeah. So don't tell me, ladies, you got that shit in you too, okay? And you know that's what attracts you, right? Yeah. Same thing with you guys. You don't want the little Christian girl. You want the, I don't have to go there. You know what I'm getting at here. So all of us got some of this psychopathy, this sick shit in us, okay? We like the bad. You have to admit it. And anyway, but you don't have to be bad to be tough and all that. You can still ride the Hayabusa, still light that thing up and be all right. Anyway, bad boys and bad girls. Okay. So recognizing where evil comes from, it's from him, and you overcome that in yourself, and then you rise yourself above it. You're going to go through tests. You're going to go through some really, really, really tough tests, and you're going to fail pretty much all of them, and you're going to have to retake them. Sometimes when the higher divine gives you a test, it's like being in school, and the teacher says, pop quiz, close your books. No talking. You can't ask me any questions. You got 1 hour, and she passes this thing out. And you're like, oh, fuck, I didn't know I was going to get a test. And you do have access to maybe your iPad or something to do research, but no talking, and I won't answer any questions, and you got 1 hour. A lot of times that happens to us. Tests are given, and you're screaming for help, you're not asking me, you got to work it out. And I find it ironic that this fake salvation bullshit that they talk about tells you it's a free gift, but you can't earn it, but yet it tells you to work it out with fear and trembling. That's not schizophrenic. Anyway, so much to cover there, but that's what I want to get down in this video here. When I say bad daddy, I'm not talking about our fathers, but it's in all of us. So trigger warning here for those of us who've been through SRA, and we know the numbers, I say it every time, more than half the ladies, it's 1 in 4 boys now by age 16. It'll be 1 in 3 before we know it. When that horrible thing took place, when daddy did what he did, or uncle, or whoever it is, or your grandfather, you know who that was that was doing that to you, okay? That's this evil entity, and that is in all of us, and dissociation. So you dissociate. Talk about sex for a moment. I was on Lolita Caroli's channel the other day, and the woman was on there, and I had to just stop everything I was doing and listen to her. We're all on the same page, like I said, with all this. And this woman made a comment that all sex is rape. And if you just stop for a minute and think about it, we've been so removed from, remember, we're a copy. The way we would copulate in the higher realms isn't this physical friction thing. It is something 1,000 times stronger. Here it's been reduced to a physical act. And I'll tell you as men, because I watched porn when I was younger, and a lot of my adult life I did. It's objectifying. That was in the earlier video we talked about. So sex becomes nothing more than really masturbation using someone else's body. Instead of using your hand, you're using her mouth or her vagina now. Because during this thing, you're going through this act, and it's been so removed. It's been so adulterated and so perverted and defiled that it's just become an act of, I guess, partner masturbation. And it's not making love to your partner. It's just physical. I don't know what it's not. It's like it's almost unnatural. It's not right. I listen to all these country musics. I should do a whole video on that, how disgusting country music is now. Like when Jason Aldean sings, "Oh, baby, 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 want to love you all night. Just want to love you all night." Oh, you fucking liar. You don't want to love her. You want to bang the shit out of her. That's what you're saying. You want to get in there and do that thing, and you're just pleasing yourself. Is that what you're doing? I mean, come down. Let's get real for a minute. Isn't it really just getting pleasure? That's what it is. Same thing for the woman. She's receiving it, Ooh, he thinks I'm hot. She's digging it and all that. And really, it's just self-satisfaction using each other. It's so removed from what it's supposed to be. And we talked about circumcision for the man, and those neurotransmitters have been removed. And what was supposed to be a different kind of feeling is something else now. And it's just pounding and friction. And our physical bodies can adjust and adapt to it to where we do receive pleasure from it. But when it really comes down to it, it's just self-satisfaction using each other. We are so far removed from what our original is. And that creates, going back to your psychopath that just uses people to get things. Now, there are men out there who don't do that. Oop, low battery. Okay, got to make it quick. There are men out there that don't do that. That couple of things I'll tell you characteristic-wise. When you're making love or having sex with your spouse, if you're making eye contact during ejaculation, that's love. But when they can't do that, or they ejaculate outside of you, or the horrible thing on your face and all those things, you are so far away from what it's supposed to be. Again, these are all, and what it comes down to is this: we're hybrid beings. These archons are vicariously operating through us. So they're able to experience They can't experience it without us. So they are like hitchhikers, hitchhiking, and they're parasites riding us out. And so they're the ones that are really having that experience using us to do it, because that's what we've been reduced to. I know this gets deep, but it is really just so simple. I got to wrap it up. Battery's almost out. Psychopathy, being a psychopath, is something we all have to work on. You know, men, just real quickly, we talked about in the last video, oh, the car and all this. Women are just as bad. You know, I can say, oh man, I love that boat. Oh my God, that 61-foot Garlington. Oh, the lines. Oh, I love that boat. Yeah, women are the same way. Oh, I love that purse. Oh, don't you love those shoes? Oh, look at the heel. Ooh, and I love that new kitchen. And so, see, we're both just as bad at it. And women don't see men so much as a soulmate, but as a provider. Oh, he's got this job, he's secure, he can give me this, I can have that car and this lifestyle. Is that love? Or is that what he can do for you and provide? The man is supposed to provide, by the way. But is that why you're with him? Or do you love him? Kind of hard to love him because he can't love you back, because he doesn't know what love is. He's allowed this entity to control him. Yeah. Bad daddy. Recognize it. See that characteristic in you. Overcome that thing. Denounce that piece of shit. Stop worshiping in church on Sunday morning. For God's sake, stop it. See, I just said that. For God's sake. For mom's sake, fucking stop it. He is evil, he is wicked, and he is bad, okay? And start connecting back to her and our true parents that are up there, okay? All right, I'm going to end it there. Heavy shit, isn't it? Yeah. I have to continue going, because until I get remedy, you know where I'm at. It's a hell worse than, there's a fate worse than death is the one that I'm in right now. But out of that pain and suffering comes refinement. It gets me to understand this world, how it works, and who the evil is. And we rise above it, and we get the power back, and we fix this thing. No savior's coming riding a white horse. That's complete horse shit. It's up to us. We have to do this. I love you. I'm out.